Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel, and if you are an actual loyal viewer, you will know that on this channel, we actually covered a story a while back of a neighboring county to Cook County, which covers the city of Chicago, having to deal with crime that spilled over into that area. And in that specific instance, the criminal actually tried to go back because he started his crime spree to Cook County for his charge, yet the prosecutor in that neighboring county was not having it. He said, you know what? You're going to commit crimes, you're going to assault a police dog, you're going to run from my officers, we're going to prosecute you in our county, and he gave that guy 22 years. I love that energy, I love the fact that that guy looked like Commissioner Gordon, and I love the fact that he gave a press conference mocking Kimberly Fox, the woke George Soros-funded district attorney, for doing a terrible job, and he basically sent a message that if you're going to commit crimes in those areas, then you better restrict those crimes to only Cook County, because the neighboring county isn't going to have it. Well, we have a similar story out of Tennessee. A neighboring county to Memphis is not having it with the criminals from Memphis. So we got a sheriff, we got to talk about what he said, but more importantly, what he did, because it shows us that you can prosecute criminals. The police did not just suddenly become ineffective when it came to stopping crime, and it is a choice by these major cities in order to ignore the rampant criminality going on within their borders. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up. actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners on Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
Can't do the time, don't do the crime. Apparently the motto in Tipton County after criminals started crossing county lines. They're not catching and releasing, they are prosecuting.
So this local news segment opens up with surveillance video from inside a convenience store. It looks like a liquor store to be specific, and it's something that we've seen dozens upon dozens of times in this country in recent years, and that is a large group of people covered up, hoodies, gloves, all of that, going into a store to loot the damn place, bust open the register, and grab whatever they can take. And now, we have been told over and over again by left-wing district attorneys, by left-wing police chiefs, by left-wing mayors, that it's virtually impossible to catch these criminals. Remember, we had surveillance video of the same group of people committing about 8 robberies in the city of Oakland, and Pamela Price, despite the fact that there were witnesses, surveillance video, and all of that, and we had cars, license plates, everything you would possibly need in order to make a prosecution happen, said that she couldn't prosecute those cases because there wasn't enough evidence. Unless the criminal looks directly into the crime and then takes off their mask and says, I am the criminal, gives their first, last name, and social security number, Pamela Price basically made the case that it was impossible to prosecute these people. However, the Tipton County Sheriff disagrees, because unlike those videos that we saw, there's actually arrests made within this group, and these people are in fact being prosecuted for this crime, and there's a message to be sent to the criminals of Memphis about coming in to Tipton County.
It was just a matter of time. We knew it's been coming out of Memphis.
Judson Nafee watches this surveillance video as 5 thieves bust through the window at Whiskey Business on Highway 51 in Covington and steal thousands of dollars worth of liquor.
We've had 3 break-ins in Tipton County recently that look like Memphis-style break-ins, and of course, there's no consequences in Memphis for breaking in.
So right here, we have the landlord of this area. He's the one who leases out the property to the liquor store, saying that this looked like a Memphis-style break-in, and he also says what we all know is going on in this country, that there are no consequences in Memphis. There's no consequences in a bunch of parts of this country, in a bunch of major cities. The criminals are allowed to run rampant across them, and again, it's nice to see somebody, regular citizens, know what's going on, be able to identify it, and more importantly, be able to identify the problem, because that's going to lead to a solution. But let's move on a little bit further into this segment.
But Tipton County Sheriff Shannon Beasley says this is not Memphis, writing on Facebook, quote, "If you think we are going to let you run back to Memphis or anywhere else without any consequences, you've got us confused."
There's no shade at Memphis. It's all across the country, especially in our larger cities, where it seems that the criminals are not punished. They're treated like the victim instead of the criminal.
Again, this sheriff knows what's going on. He's saying it's not just Memphis, they just happen to live near Memphis. This is a phenomenon going on across the country, and you could really tell that this guy has his ears to the ground. And no, I'm not saying that because he has elf-like ears that are kind of pointed, and thus I actually think he has super hearing. I'm not saying that that's a fact. I'm not saying that that's confirmed. All I'm saying is to look at this video, listen to what he's saying, and tell me you don't think that this guy can hear the criminals when they're committing crimes from miles away. He definitely can, and this is why he's been able to capture people while in the city of Memphis. They pretend that this is an impossible Herculean task.
Sheriff Beasley says we see too many cases where criminals get away with a slap on the wrist in Memphis, and that crime is now seeping into Tipton County. But he promises Tipton County will not handle it the same way.
One thing's going to happen in Tipton County, if you come up here and you bring those stupid crimes to us, we promise you, you're going to pay bail and you're going to pay your time. And if you want to come up here and commit those crimes and you've got the time to sit in jail, I promise you I got the place to put you.
I love it. I love the fact that he said it so concisely, so precisely, and I love the fact that he's not afraid to say, you know what, if you're a repeat offender, if you got the time to come over here and start committing crimes, we're going to put you in and you're going to have to pay bail to get out. Yes, that's right. We're not abolishing bail or anything ridiculous like that. You put up the money to get out of jail, and by the way, if you commit the crime, I got spots in the county jail for you. I got spots in prison for you. You're not going to get away with it over here. We need to send a message to the criminals, and this sheriff is not afraid to do it. And this is one of the benefits, by the way, of having certain law enforcement agencies as elected positions. Obviously, this sheriff is responding to his constituents, and his constituents don't like what's going on in terms of the neighboring county, and they don't like the fact that it's spilling over into Tipton.
And that's exactly what happened. 3 of the men responsible for the burglary at Whiskey Business remain in the Tipton County Jail tonight with no bond. Nafy says if the store had to be burglarized, he's glad it happened in Tipton County.
Yeah, that's right. 3 of the 5 burglars already are caught, they're already in jail, and they're already being held without bail. I want you to really think about the story that we covered and we talked about related to Oakland and Pamela Price with the group of individuals that were caught on surveillance video multiple times driving up to the robberies in their own cars, and how Pamela Price dropped the charges on the over 8 robberies with a dozen witnesses and all of that because she said they were wearing masks. They're wearing masks in these videos right here. And this guy has already captured 60% of the criminals. 60% of them are already in jail, and he's still on the lookout for the remaining 2. He's still trying to put pressure on the 3 that he has in order to get that information. And this is a small town sheriff's department. This is a county sheriff's department. Their budget oftentimes not equivalent to what you would have in a city like Oakland, which is again subsidized by the state of California, one of the biggest spending governments in the entire union, and yet he was able to lock these people up in very short order and is still out there looking for the remaining 2. This is what happens when you're actually motivated to solve crimes. This is what happens when you actually take theft seriously. This is what happens when you actually care about the community that you live in. You're able to affect change quite quickly, and this sophisticated operation where they break in and grab thousands of dollars worth of merchandise in a matter of minutes has been hit hard, losing 60% of their people in one shot.
We all know each other. We all want to have a nice, safe place to live. And if they're going to bring that stuff out of Memphis to here, our law enforcement officers and our DAs and our judges they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay for their crime here.
You gotta love it. I mean, this is that energy that Tried in a Small Town, that song that got all that controversy, is actually referencing right here. If you commit this crime over here, you bring that Memphis energy into this county, we're gonna prosecute you. We don't have woke sheriffs. We don't have a woke police department. We don't have a woke judge, a woke district attorney, or any of that nonsense. We're gonna hold you. We're gonna punish you. You're going to be held to account. And by the way, you're doing some risky business trying to attempt this in Tennessee in the first place, considering the state of gun rights in that area. Now, I understand that this liquor store likely closed at the time that they entered. In fact, I'm assuming it definitely was, because I don't see any employees in the footage. But if you're a criminal coming up from Memphis to this area, in a place, by the way, where the district attorney is on the side of the law-abiding citizen, not of the criminal, in a state with such solid gun rights like the state of Tennessee, I don't think it's going to work out for you, even if if the sheriff wasn't this much of a badass and wasn't looking to make a statement. If you get caught in the wrong area and you find a Second Amendment prepared citizen, it's not going to work out for you in this area bordering Memphis. So yeah, this is a solid step. This is a solid message. I always talk about how the release of these repeat offenders over and over again in these major left-wing cities should not be ignored by right-wing state officials or right-wing neighboring officials, because it does bleed out into other areas. But I do appreciate when I see it, when these neighboring areas respond in kind and make sure to send a message that you're not going to be able to get away with these crimes in our areas. Yes, there is some bleed over. Yes, we still need to go into these cities and ramp these crimes down, but containment is the beginning of a solid strategy, so I'm going to give credit where credit is due in this regard. Again, very impressive that they caught 3 of the 5 perpetrators behind this crime immediately, and they're holding them without bond. And it really is a poke to all these left-wing district attorneys in major cities with higher budgets for prosecution and for their police departments that can't seem to crack these cases. This was not a large effort that required a task force and partnering up with federal agents or anything like that. This was just solid police work following leads that ultimately led to the arrest of 60% of this crew, and a district attorney committed to doing his job on behalf of the victims rather than serving the criminals. So yeah, keep it in Memphis, keep it in Cook County, keep it away from these areas that are actually going to have officials that do their job and hold the criminals accountable, because you will be punished. And now we're starting to see the ramping up of consequences in the neighboring counties, which I think and I hope will be a good counterbalance to what's going on in these woke areas. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Tipton County, holding it down, an awesome sheriff, by the way. Till next time.